These videos take a long time to record and edit. It would mean a lot to me if you could leave a like and subscribe. If you enjoy this video, leave a comment about your favorite part. It will get pinned and hearted. Now let's get into the story. Where did he go again? A man roared, slashing a cigar between his teeth. This time, I'm going to kill him. Smoker-san, calm down. A woman implored him, while seeing several people around them being scared by the man's behavior. I'm going to kill him. I'm going to kill him. Sir, called a man, dressed like a steward. I am compelled to inform you that the plane must imperatively take off. If your student does not arrive, I am constrained to ask you to wait for me. Turning around, several people saw a high school student running towards them, holding 2 heavy bags filled with food in his left hand. He also held a straw hat that threatened to fall from his head. Seeing a large group of high school students in front of him, the boy flashed a big smile while shouting, I quote him coming. Hope I'm not late. SHIHIHIHI. However, his eardrums burst as Smoker began to scream. Monkey DLUFFY. Dear passengers, we are currently at 10,000 meters above sea level and we are flying over the Pacific Ocean. We don't expect any turbulence for the rest of the trip. We will arrive at our destination in about 5 hours. Not caring about this message announced by an air hostess, Luffy was emptying the entirety of his 2 bags of food that he had planned for the trip. Next to him, a high school student with a long nose asserted, Luffy, sometimes I wonder if you're really human. Luffy wondered, his mouth full. No, I didn't say anything. Usopp affirmed, letting out a simple sigh. Immediately, Luffy shrugged before continuing with his meal. Next to him, a blonde-haired student began to groan while seeing several packages begin to fall on his legs. Hey, Luffy, I don't mind if you want to satisfy your hunger, but don't take me for your trash. Huh? Luffy wondered, looking at him. Why do you seem mad at me, Sanji? Me, mad? Sanji questioned, starting to smile. Why would I be mad at you? Suddenly, veins of anger appeared on his forehead as he grabbed Luffy's collar before shaking him. Remind me of the name of the jerk who made our plane leave late. Huh? Me, of course, the boy roared, continuing to shake him. Half an hour. Because of you, we had to wait a whole half hour for the gentleman to come back with his big silly smile. I only wanted to destroy your buttocks with kicks. Hey, calm down. It was just half an hour. It's not a tragedy. Despite my delay, the plane left with us. Are you stupid or what? The pilot was about to decide to launch the plane. If you hadn't come back, do you really think the teachers would have decided to leave without you? Surely we would have had to stay here and have to rearrange our departure, which means finding a plane with enough seats to accommodate us all and securing enough seats inside. Do you realize how long that would have taken? Huh? I think at least it could have made our vacation longer. Immediately, Sanji pulled at Luffy's cheeks to the point that the boy was afraid he would rip them off. Ouch, ouch, stop. We are 150 students and 10 teachers. If we couldn't have left today to return to Japan, where do you think we would have stayed tonight? We have not planned the budget to stay an extra night. Huh? I hadn't thought of that. I know it, jerk. Sanji roared. With a weary sigh, Usopp affirmed. Sanji, even if I understand your anger, I remind you that it's useless. You won't be able to reason with a guy like Luffy. This idiot is always doing stupid things, never thinking about the consequences of his actions. It's true, Luffy agreed, with a big smile. This is not a compliment. His friends roared. A nervous laugh was heard. Sitting in the seat in front of Luffy's, a boy turned to look at the trio. Luffy-san has always been a difficult boy to control. That's not how I would define it, Kobe. Sanji retorted, clicking his tongue. He is an idiot and a real professional at getting himself into trouble because of his actions with reckless consequences. He is in the crosshairs of several of his teachers, and this was already the case long before this school trip. Now that this delay has occurred, several teachers will surely ask for him to be fired from the establishment. To tell the truth, it has already surprised me a lot that he escaped the repetition of his first year of high school, and that he was able to start his second year with us, fired out of school. Luffy repeated. Immediately, he started screaming. And if I get kicked out of high school, my grandpa will kill me. Asshole, Sanji roared. With your behavior, you expected to be rewarded. Your grades are far from excellent. In truth, apart from sports, you do not have the average in any subject. It might be time for you to adopt a behavior that stops getting you in trouble, and gets me in trouble too. I understand our teachers. We're not in middle school anymore, after all. Luffy, adulthood is coming and we need to start behaving like responsible people. Being seized with a craving, the boy reached into his jacket pocket and pulled out a box of toothpicks. Putting a piece of wood between his teeth, he declared, "As soon as I get off this plane, I rush outside to have a cigarette." For a boy who is good at sports and impeccably hygienic, I'm amazed that you enjoy torturing your lungs. Usopp confessed. Shut up. It's a way to calm my nerves, especially when I'm around Luffy. You are a child, as well as a pig, Nami asserted, bending down to pick up one of the wrappers from the floor. Nevertheless, among the wrappings, she saw a small package, which was carefully wrapped. What is that? Don't touch it, Luffy ordered. Seeing the boy take the small package, the others were surprised at his behavior. Then, finally, Nami gave a teasing smile. Wouldn't that be a little keepsake for your grandfather? Give it back to me, Luffy ordered her, taking it from her hands. Then, putting the package in one of his bags, he declared, if I hadn't brought him a souvenir, he wouldn't have been happy. I know you so well. Nami congratulated herself. In truth, I saw you buy this present. You took a lot of time and energy to find it, didn't you? You even asked, its seller, a lot of things, trying to speak English. The poor man, because of your pitiful level in a foreign language, he understood only 1 out of 2 words before Usopp and Ace came to help you. It was really too funny. Why are you watching me all the time? A keepsake for your grandfather. Haya repeated. This is so cute. TSSS. Luffy said simply, looking away to the side. And what did you choose for him? A voice asked behind him. I don't mind helping you when you need it, but I still don't know exactly what you bought. You blocked me from seeing your purchase. It's none of your business, Ace. Luffy retorted. Simply starting to smile, Luffy's older brother appeared between the girls. Before approaching his brother, how can you behave like this with your brother? We're cramped, Sanji complained. What do you want, Ace? Luffy questioned him. At this moment, Ace showed a serious look and put his arm around his shoulders before bringing his face closer to him. It was something he constantly did with Luffy. At first, he kept pushing him away, embarrassing that he brought his face that way. However, over time, Luffy had stopped doing it since Ace was continuing this gesture. For his older brother, it was the gesture he only made with Luffy. He then whispered something to him, making sure the others couldn't hear him. Luffy, I'm amazed at how popular you are, both with guys and girls. Turning his face to the side, he showed Nami, along with Vivi and Kaya, with a nod. If I tell Grandpa that you're surrounded by girls, I'm sure he'd be proud of you. What are you talking about? Who's your girlfriend? Ace asked, with a teasing smile. Don't talk nonsense. They're just my friends. I'm not interested in that. Disappointed by this admission, Ace began to heave a weary sigh. I forgot you were a hopeless case. Seriously, I'm sure you'll die for the chance to kiss a girl. You should start thinking about that, Luffy. It's none of your business. Luffy growled. And you're no better. I've already dated 2 girls. Ace retorted. One of them just wanted to approach you to introduce her to Thatch, who she was really in love with. And you only dated the other girl for a week before she decided to break up with you, because of your narcoleptic issues and the fact that you fell asleep just as you were going to kiss. She thought you were laughing at her. Immediately, Ace began strangling Luffy. Don't act like you're better than me. Stop, you're choking me. Hey, what are you doing? Usopp was scared. Letting go of Luffy, Ace growled. This guy pisses me off. If anyone wants him, he can keep him. I wouldn't want him for anything in the world. Luffy's friends affirmed. Hey, would you mind making less noise? Someone asked, being seated in the row behind Luffy and the others. Surprised, the small group looked in front of them to see a high school student typing on a computer, typing at high speed on the keys of his computer. Law seemed to be creating the 3D shape of a molecule belonging to a chemical formula. Sorry, Law. Nami apologized. You know how these guys are. Yeah, the boy simply growled. I have known Mugiwara since kindergarten. I know him very well. Hey, Trollo, Luffy shouted. Are you still doing a computer program? You really are amazing. It doesn't surprise me coming from one of the best students in high school and the nerd in our class. Immediately, a vein of anger appeared on Law's forehead as he declared, Luffy, I have 2 things to tell you. 1, stop calling me Trao. And 2, I may be one of the best students in high school. There are none left unless I hate being called nerd. Please try to remember that next time. Otherwise it would be boring. Immediately, Luffy's friends couldn't help but be slightly embarrassed by the boy's menacing tone. Still, Luffy continued to smile. Shuhahi, no need to be so formal. Trao, we've been friends since kindergarten, right? Immediately, many memories flashed in Law's mind as he recalled how many times Luffy had gotten him in trouble, only because the teachers thought he was Luffy's accomplice. Seeing Law's fingers twitch, Sanji advised, We'll leave you. We'll keep the noise down. Trao, stop calling me Trao. Law roared. Sorry, he's not very nice, noted Ace, who had been following their conversation. Law is often withdrawn. He's like that with everyone, but he's not mean. It's just that he had the misfortune to find himself in the same class as Luffy since kindergarten. Poor thing. He's the unluckiest boy on this planet. What does that mean? Luffy asked, while his friends started laughing. Groaning, the boy put his arms behind his head and pretended to be asleep, so he wouldn't hear his friends laughing at him anymore. Yet he began to think. They call themselves my friends, but they always make fun of me. Here is my world, here is my class, here is my existence. Whether adults or others, everyone considers me an idiot. Yet, hearing the others talking friendly around him, he heard them chatting and laughing among themselves. Finding that Nami had calmed down, Kobe reappeared and joined in the conversation. Noticing this, Luffy couldn't help but smile, while feeling surrounded by his brother and his friends. But, strangely, for nothing in the world, I wouldn't change my life. Sorry, apologized a flight attendant with pink hair, picking up a goblet whose contents had spilled on the floor or on the jacket of Luffy's homeroom teacher, Mrs. Tashigi. I'm so sorry, the hostess continued, trying to find something to wipe away her clumsiness. Today is my first flight, and don't worry, it's nothing. Tashigi reassured her, taking off her jacket. I was just thinking of putting it in the wash when I get home. You don't have to get yourself in this state. After the accident of the past and cleaned cup, she stretched while yawning. With her small size and her baby skin, many had already taken the adult for a high school girl. Still, she must have been in her mid-20s. That was fun, but it looks like the trip is coming to an end. She remarked, It's a shame it didn't last a little longer. A man sitting next to her suddenly folded up his newspaper and exclaimed, Tashigi-kun, before we arrive at our destination, I would really like us to seriously discuss the problems that occurred during the trip. The tone Smoker had taken easily convinced his colleague that he was very serious. There are 2 problem students in your class, aren't there? He continued. Smoker-san, calling them problematic isn't a bit of a stretch. The young woman wanted to know, do you think? I remind you all the same that Monkey D. Luffy caused us a lot of trouble. Night excursions, theft of food from the kitchen of the inn, damage to several objects in the inn where we were staying. I kept watching him so he wouldn't get us into more trouble. But this kid has a knack for disappearing as soon as we turn our back on him. It's true that some of his nonsense may rhyme with recklessness, but they weren't that serious. He still managed to get the plane off the ground more than half an hour late, shouted the man. We had to apologize to the pilot for the delay we made him take. Damn Mugiwara. While talking about Luffy's feet, he crumpled up the diary he was holding in his hand. Hearing him utter Luffy's nickname, Tashigi knew he was completely enraged. Indeed, this act, I cannot deny, admitted the young woman. I was really worried that he wouldn't come back in time and that he would cause a huge problem for our departure. But him again, he is far from being the worst. Smoker affirmed. I even consider Mugiwara an angel compared to Charlotte Katakuri. The boy was seated in the back row of the aircraft. With his tall stature, his hair dyed pink, and the tattoo visible on his upper arm, he looked like a real scumbag. The student who was sitting on his left couldn't help but be frightened by his presence, and couldn't help watching him with his eyes, so as not to have any unpleasant surprises. Like the rest of his class, he knew Katakuri's hobbies all too well. Getting other people into trouble, inventing on those who had the bad idea to retaliate. The proof, during the trip, he had found nothing smarter to do than a nocturnal getaway to go to a nightclub. If he had done just that and just slow danced a couple of times, things could have been easier. However, 2 days later, Ace told Luffy that Katakuri had been in custody for 24 hours for assault and battery. Apparently, Katakuri had gotten into a fight with a student at the nightclub and fractured his jaw. Fortunately for him, a witness was able to defend him by stating that it was the other student who, having drunk alcohol, had started to want to fight against Katakuri before being knocked down with a single blow. Fist. This had therefore allowed him to quickly leave his cell and return to the hostel, not without having been lectured by the teachers and having been informed that a disciplinary council will take place concerning the accident he had caused. Despite the fact that he was the victim in this case, this guy was still a real crackpot. For many adults, Luffy was someone stupid who behaved like a kid, just for fun. Katakuri, on the other hand, had fun fighting against others, and seemed content to make everyone understand that he was the strongest. Anyway, right now, he seemed to be angry, as his eyebrows were furrowed and he was growling through the scarf that covered his mouth. "Can you stop showing that face?" asked the boy sitting to his right, while he had a lollipop in his mouth. Removing his treat, he declared, "During our entire stay, I never saw you smile. To believe that you are incapable of it. Do you want to hear the truth, Prospero?" Katakuri asked to his brother. "This trip has been more than boring. I thought it could have been interesting, even fun. Talk about it." He then took a coin out of his waistcoat pocket, flicked it off, before catching it mid-flight and staring at it. The most entertaining moment was the nightclub episode and the time in prison. He finished. "Anything else would have surprised me coming from you," his brother told him with a sigh. "Geez, you're far from a normal person." This remark made the boy smile. "I think you're right about that, and that suits me perfectly. I'm too hungry," Luffy exclaimed once again. "Your body is only a stomach." His companions insulted him. With a big smile, Nami affirmed, "If you want, Luffy, I have food with me. Is that true?" Luffy questioned her. "For 5,000 yen, I'll give you my food." 5,000 yen. Do you want me dead? It's this or nothing. Give up on Luffy, Usopp advised him. "The last time I owed a debt to Nami, it took me 3 months to pay it off." "Nami, I find you a bit selfish," Vivi confessed. "Hey, I have the right to." A deafening noise interrupted her. Frozen in terror, the high school students remained motionless, unable to understand what had just happened. They had the impression that the sheet metal of the plane had just bent and had caused this noise. "What was that?" Kobe asked, jumping out of his seat. Before anyone could answer him, the plane shook like a snow globe. Several people were thrown from their seats and bumped into each other or against the seats and the windows. Attempting to hold on to his seat, Luffy heard sounds of breaking glass and horrified screams. All around him, various objects, thrown by the force of the tremors, threatened to knock him out, and several narrowly missed hitting his face. Believing his last hour had arrived, he clung to my seat with all his strength, while trying to put his belt back around his waist. Beside him, Ace had gripped the armrest of Sanji's seat. Meanwhile, the blonde grabbed Vivi and Kaya's arms and pinned them to the ground to prevent them from getting hit by objects, which were thrown into the air. Screaming in fear, Usopp finally passed out, as foam appeared in his mouth. Losing her balance, Nami was thrown against a seat and fell to the ground. And, unfortunately for him, Kobe had no time to cling to an object, and the jolt threw him against a porthole. He then slumped heavily in his seat, his eyes closed. A few seconds later, the shaking stopped as quickly as it had started. Once certain that he was no longer in danger, Luffy stood up and looked at Kobe, who, unconscious, was lying half-sprawled on his seat. A red mark on the window made Luffy realize that he had hurt his head by hitting the glass surface. "Kobe," Luffy called, shaking him with one hand. "Are you okay?" A moan from him told me he was alive. Stunned, yes, but still alive. For his part, Ace, who had already got up, made sure of Nami's health before helping her up. Doing the same with Vivi and Kaya, Sanji looked at the rest of the passengers and could only see horrified looks and faces. Everyone was surprised and horrified by this sudden jolt. What just happened? Why did the plane shake? Are you hurt? Help me. My leg. Calm down. We are surely in a zone of turbulence. To be honest, Luffy also nearly had a heart attack, having been surprised by the situation. Yet, even though he didn't understand why, his whole body began to feel a slight excitement because of the danger. In the pilot's room, fear had also won over the pilot and the co-pilot of the aircraft. The tremors had, for an unknown reason, damaged a good part of the controls of the device, preventing the two men from being able to continue to maintain the device at a good height. "Mayday, Mayday, flight number 357 here," cried the pilot, correctly positioning the tip of his headset in front of his mouth. "Control tower, please respond. It's an emergency. Dalton, the onboard instruments are no longer responding. Calm down. The stick is still working. We can continue to steer the plane this way. Then do something. Usopp, how are you?" Feeling someone slap him, the long-nosed boy finally opened his eyes to see Luffy's face above him. Luffy, at that moment his eyes widened as he remembered the reason for his unconsciousness. The plane, the shake. "Kaya, where's Kaya?" "I'm here," affirmed the blonde, while Sanji had made her sit in his seat with Vivi. "Hold on," the blonde ordered, dreading another jolt. "We don't know what could happen." "What happened?" Nami wanted to know, with a face that betrayed her fear. "I don't know," said Ace. "Turbulence, no doubt, but it seems to be over." It was at this moment that they were plunged into darkness. Proof that Luffy's brother had just spoken too quickly. What's going on again? Someone panicked. Why did they cut the electricity? Being in the same situation as the other passengers, Law was also disturbed by the fact that darkness fell inside the plane. However, one detail shocked him. But that's impossible. It's barely 2 o'clock in the afternoon, so no lights were on in the plane. So it would be from. Dreading the same thing as him, a boy began to look at the sky through one of the portholes before screaming, "Look out!" Victim of a bad feeling, Law rushed, in turn, to a porthole, and what he saw will remain forever etched in his memory. Also looking outside through a porthole, Usopp began to tremble in fear. Impossible. A black sky. Here is what the high school students could see. In an instant, the sky had gone from a cloudless blue to a total black sky, when the afternoon had only just begun. "It's a nightmare," a tearful girl cried, falling to her knees. "We're all going to die," a boy exclaimed. To sum up the situation, the trip had gone, in the space of a few minutes, from a pleasant flight to total anarchy. And that was just the beginning, as 2 seconds later the plane rapidly lost altitude and began to nose down towards the ocean. "LHHH," cried Usopp, MONMN. Continuing to cling to his seat, Luffy remained motionless. He understood the situation. He understood that death was watching him. Yet, for the first time in his life, his mind had never been so clear. It was as if the danger around him was making his brain work much better than usual. Feeling out of balance, Nami began to glide to the front of the plane while trying to cling to something. "Help me," she begged, reaching forward with her hand. Immediately, Luffy's hand grabbed her arm, stopping her from falling further. "Luffy, I'm not letting you go," the boy assured her. However, another person's body hit his back, causing him to let go. Thus, Nami and him began to fall towards the front of the aircraft, and were about to hit the door leading to the cockpit. Only able to see her getting closer to him, Luffy didn't even have time to shield his face with his arms, as his skull hit the steel door. Then he no longer had the slightest memory, had the slightest memory, had the slightest memory, had the